Okay, everyone. So, what I have before me is just a simple lineup of objects to display the functionality of the Cal3d exports for IMVU add-on that I have been working on. This takes the features of the previously released Cal3d export add-on that was written for Blender version 2.63 and below. But this version starts off from Blender 5. So all its structure is based off of Blender 5 API. I believe that Blender 5 API architecture mimics that of Blender 4.4. So down to Blender 4.4 should be fine, but this has only been tested with Blender 5. And it works the same way as the previous one for the most part. Obviously, this is still very much in a beta stage or even an alpha stage. There are still tests being done to make sure that the functionality is proper. I did my best to research all I could about the Cal3d file structures themselves, and I believe this is a strong enough starting point. That said, please, if you do notice any issues, for those of you who are more experienced with the Cal3d ecosystem, do well to leave those comments in the comment section. Also, this add-on will be on GitHub, so be sure to make your observations there as well. What we have is a simple, I'll call this a stick, and this is a ball with an animation, both an XPF and XRF. Then of course the balls are XMF. Then this armature is our XSF. Then we have the material, which is our XRF. Then we equally have textures, which are PNG files. So here's what I'll be doing. I will be selecting the mesh, then I'll select the armature. Then once you have the add-on installed, you're just going to come to File, Export, and then IMVU Cal3d Export. We have the options for the regular file, so I'm going to be exporting everything. I will equally check copy textures so that the textures I've linked in my materials principled BSDF node will be copied here as well. Then for the scaling, what I am going to do is I'm going to bump this up to 100. Okay, so that's very important. If you're working with the default Blender measurements, that's the meter measurements, you need to multiply that by 100 so that your work looks proper in IMVU. It matches the scaling in IMVU because the IMVU scaling is in millimeter, I believe. So you then give this a prefix, a general prefix name. So I'm going to call this ball and stick. And then I'm going to click on Export IMVU Cal3d. So my export is complete. Depending on the complexity of your object or your animation, that process might take a bit longer. So now we're going to go to IMVU Studio to import these exports, okay? All right, so now we're in IMVU Studio. We're going to be deriving from an empty furniture product. So I'm going to click on the empty furniture product, then I'm going to click derive. All right, good. So now, normally what we would do in most situations is we'd have already exported an FBX, but this time to import your Cal3d files, you're going to come to import asset, okay? So you click on import asset, and as you can see, we have all our assets lined up here. So these are the textures that were copied, and then these are our Cal3d files. So I can start from the first and then select all of them, and I am going to click open, and then everything is imported already. So what I am going to do now is I am going to begin setting up the items one by one. So this is where it gets a bit tricky, but it's not that tricky if you know what you're doing. So starting from the material, you're first going to create a new material slot. You can leave it as new material, or you can just call it ball and stick, or whatever object you've named it after. Then you're going to change the material to the XRF that you brought in. And then you can see it loads up all 5 of your textures for you. So you remember that before now, for the FBX, we had issues exporting shininess and emission, but this method imports everything all at once. So the next thing you're going to do is you are going to come to the mesh. You're going to click on the plus sign to create a new mesh. You're going to call this maybe ball and stick again, or whatever you desire. And then here's my ball and stick XMF. I will be using the ball and stick. Then I am going to come to skeleton. I am going to change this from the root node to my ball and stick armature XSF, because my ball and stick armature is a custom armature with custom bones and custom animation. Then for the placements, yes, it's a floor object. So I'm going to leave it at floor 01. So action, I'm going to click on the plus sign to create a new action. Now, depending on what I want, I can either call this stance.idle or call this another name entirely, depending on what I want to achieve. So for me, I want the object to be able to play the animation automatically. That is, the default action of the object should be this action that I am putting in this action slot. Okay, so that is what stance.idle does. If you want your furniture, your rigged accessory to play an animation automatically, you need to make this stance with small letter S, then I for capital I for idle. So stance.idle. Then I'm going to use room instead of avatar like we normally do. Then I'm going to click the plus sign. So I have 2 things to import here. I am going to select my XAF. Then I want this to be looping infinitely. So I'm going to change the loops to 0. Then my morph animation as well. I'm going to change this. And then I am going to change this to 0 as well, so that both of them loop. Then I click on apply. And now I'm going to click preview. So at times when you click preview, it might tell you it was unable to load. That's fine. Just redo everything and you should see your results. Okay, so we're lucky everything loaded at once. That's how you go about exporting Cal3d files from Blender for IMVU and then importing them using IMVU Studio. So like I said, this script is very much in progress. It is not final at all. Please, if you experience any issues with this script, you notice so much as one vertex shouldn't be where it's meant to be, please report in the comment section, report on the GitHub, and then I will do the investigation. But for those of you who, I guess it's been so long now, prefer to work with the Cal3d method, but you haven't had the chance to with the newer Blender versions, I hope this meets you well. All right, so thank you very much for watching this brief showcase of the Cal3d export function that I've been working on. Thank you also to the original creators of the add-on I based this off of. I am truly grateful for the people who've compiled all these things over the years. And yes, thank you all once again. And very importantly, leave your questions, critiques, complaints, observations in the comments, and I will see you in the next one.